This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're in the matchroom bubble here, ahead of Ben Vargas. Tomorrow night, I'm joined by Peter Fury. How are you, mate?
You know Everlast is a very old company, don't you? Highly rated. Shows you going places, KUGAN. Does.
I didn't even ask you to say this, but Everlast, yeah, they've...
I know about Everlast because it used to be on Ali's trunks.
Yeah.
You know, this is, I think it's the oldest company there is in sports products. So to be endorsing MTK in this channel's fantastic.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everlast have pledged to sign 52 fighters, and they've started with Chantel Cameron and Natasha Jonas, Sandy Ryan. They've just signed Josh Taylor. They're going all out to kind of put back into boxing, but someone like Everlast, being an iconic brand, getting involved in boxing to that degree can only benefit the sport.
Yeah, and obviously I go back in boxing, so people like me appreciate brands like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Peter, you have Savannah Marshall defending her world title tomorrow night. An opponent change. We obviously had a little catch-up with Eddie earlier on and Savannah, etc., about what potentially could be after this. But it's not an ideal situation, but Eddie was saying that this is a better fight for Savannah tomorrow night.
I agree with him. I think it is. She's ready. And, you know, what a good thing. You know, it's unbelievable to find somebody of this stature who's in good condition, trains every day, you know, and just take the fight in a heartbeat. You know, so she needs maximum credit. And, you know, to be fair, me and Savannah give her all the credit because without her there wouldn't be any fight. So, you know, I know Eddie worked round the clock getting the fight on, so thanks to Eddie Earn for sorting that out as well. So, and the team. So very happy that we got the fight on.
Finally making her first defence of the title, and we do know, without kind of putting these questions to Savannah as much because she's focused on tomorrow night, but we've spoken about the Claressa Shields situation, but it is time now for Savannah to kind of have those Shields fights, etc., etc. It is time for that now, isn't it?
It is, but like I said, you know, Savannah's not hell-bent on relying on Claressa Shields. Look, I think Claressa Shields, she's already there. She's got all the belts, or she's had most of the belts, and she's a good fighter, you know. So I rate Claressa Shields. I think it's going to be a good fight. Will it happen? Of course it's going to happen. But I've always said it'll happen in the time when I feel it's ready. Not for ready in more or less fights, but everything else. There's financial aspects to look at, you know, and Savannah's only just stepped on top of the mountain. You know, this is a first defence, you know, so I want Savannah to grow into being a world champion. So I'd like Savannah to have another fight after this, and but I can't see no reason, and I agree with Eddie earlier on, this fight should happen by the end of the year, and we want it to happen by the end of the year. So don't think we're moving around saying we want the fight and if it's not happening. This is what I want for Savannah, which is going to be better for both of them anyway, because when Savannah's profile's lifted even more, people can see more of what she's doing. She brings more to the table, which helps both of them financially anyway.
Peter, we know Savannah's not the most talkative on camera, but when you speak to her off camera, she's not quite the same as she. Obviously, she has a kind of a shy persona on the camera, but that's not actually how she is in real life, is it? Away from the cameras.
She's just a very matter-of-fact person, you know. She just goes about her business. It's like when she's in training camp, you know. She turns up, she does the training, she gets ready, and she leaves. She's not somebody to sit there and say, "What you been doing today? You know, let's have a cup of tea." She'll just go, "When am I back again? What time is it?" And I'll go, "That time. See you tomorrow." You know, it's matter-of-factly with Savannah. You know, I like that. I think she's unique. You know, she's serious, gets on with the job. Couldn't ask for more, really. She just does, you know, and just she is what she is. She just gets on with it. But she's a nice character, actually. She is, and she's not particularly quiet. She speaks, but she only speaks when she's either spoken to or she's got a question. There's not much downtime. Well, she's not going to have it with me anyway, I don't know what she's like with her own friends, and she's probably different with the family and stuff. But for what I see of Savannah, she's just more or less strictly business.
Well, yeah, tomorrow night, obviously she's defending her title in one world title fight. There's also another world title fight there for the vacant WBA crown with Shannon Courtney and Ebony Bridges. Yeah, interested in this one, Peter?
Yeah, I think it is. It's going to be a good fight. Shannon Courtney, I've seen her box a few times. I like her. She's a good little boxer. The other girl I don't know much about, only to say a lot of people that come from Australia, they are tough. They breed them tough out there. So I'm expecting a good fight.
Someone who I know you're a huge fan of is also in action tomorrow night, headlining the card, Mr. Conor Benn, and saw you talking to Conor Benn earlier on, and I could see kind of him listening to you and kind of soaking in kind of what you were saying to him, and it was a good conversation you had with Conor earlier.
You're privileged, didn't you, KUGAN? Let's be honest now. You get all the
perks of the job.
Yeah, you get all the inside stuff, don't you? No, I think he's a fabulous young talent, and I'm really excited. You know what I see, and I've got to congratulate his trainer Tony Sims as well for what he's done with him, because the jab, I was saying to him, the jab has come on phenomenal, and I think he's going places. It's not just forget being his dad's son. He comes in the line. It's in the bloodline, like in our family. It's the same thing. Born to fight, and that's his destiny. But I really think he's going places, and I'm looking forward to seeing his fight. I am a big fan of him because he speaks well. He's articulate. He's not somebody trying to be somebody he's not. He's got his feet on the floor. He knows how hard this game is. It's extremely hard. And in that division as well, it's hard, isn't it? There's a lot of good fighters in his weight. So he's grounded, and I wish him all the very best. I think he's going to do very good.
Not this week in particular, but...
Well, I know he's going to do very well, actually, KUGAN.
Not this week in particular, but prior to this week, over the last sort of few weeks, he's mentioned that, he comes through this week that he would love to take a fight with an Amir Khan or a Kell Brook. Those are the kind of names he wants to look at now.
Yeah, I think he is the new face of the new kid on the block. Amir Khan, Kell Brook, they've had their good years. They've done very well. Credit to them. Amir Khan, lovely boxer, but I just think, this is a young lion coming through, and I think it's his time, and I think he comes through them kind of fights. These are like veterans, if you like, coming out of it. There's one fight saloon left. This is a young, hungry, world-level fighter coming through, and I believe he's ready for them kind of fights, and he'll come through them.
Well, we shall find out. The next step of his progress is against Samuel Vargas tomorrow night. Peter, what is the situation currently with your son, Hughie? Is there any potential dates being talked about?
Well, I don't know. It's like prizing teeth out of Eddie. We need to ask him, don't we? When's Hughie next going to be on here? So I know the team's speaking with him. I've not had a chance to catch up with the team because everybody's busy. But we're just waiting for a fight date. So, Eddie, shape up. Let us know, please, when we can get him on. We've already had a 3-month training camp, and now I've backed him off for a couple of weeks, Hughie, and we're looking forward to get into it. But we want some good fights for you, So happy to take whatever fight we can get as a tick over. But let's get you in some meaningful fights this year. He's ready. He's 26 years of age, and he's going to do good things, Hughie, for sure.
I mean, it's not commonly known that heavyweights struggle to get fights. It's a thriving division. There's always good matchups to be made. So what's the reason for kind of, not, I'm saying a pause, but he's not being kind of put forward for this fight or that fight right now?
We have been offered fights, to be fair, and but the type of fights we get offered are all right for tune-up fights, and we'll take them fights. But we don't want to take somebody, an unknown quantity, say an 8-rounder or whatever, and then all of a sudden we're waiting 2 months down the line and having our solid training camp for somebody that doesn't take Hughie anywhere. He doesn't achieve anything by it. He's expected to win in style, but the opponent we've got always loses when he steps up, but say he's a big puncher. Where does that gain Hughie anything? You know, Hughie's not in the learning phase. Yeah, he's had 28 pro fights. All it is with Hughie was his age, but he's a different kettle of fish today. So we'll take a warm-up fight, but please let's have a bit of a serious fight for Hughie.
Well, in previous conversations I've had with Eddie on camera, he said that the fight that he did like or does like for Hughie is the David Price fight.
I've got all the respect from the world for David Price, you know, and David Price is a danger for any fighter. Yeah, David Price is dangerous, but me looking at it, where does that take Hughie fighting David Price? Hughie's expected to win, and he'll be expected to win it in style. You know, doesn't matter whether I believe he can win or whatever. He's a dangerous fight for anybody. He rocked Povetkin. You know, he hit Chisora before Chisora got him out of there. He can cause problems. So what's the gain for Hughie really fighting David Price? Where's the game? To prove what? He's got a good chin. He's proved that already. He's 28 fights and never touched down. So what do we need to see with David Price? Not being funny, you know, if David Price wins a few fights, you know, it's a fight where, you know, it could happen. But at this present time, I don't see any stock value for Hughie fighting David Price. And it's not about the money for Hughie. Listen, we're not people about the money. You know, Hughie gets treated fairly anyway, you know. He's in with a good team, he gets paid well. So it's nothing about that. It's just about the opponent. And, you know, why risk your fighter, yeah, for no reward? Because there's no reward there. That's my view.
Just sticking with the heavyweight scene, we saw Dillian Whyte out in Gibraltar, not last week, the week before, overcome, a bit of a shock defeat last August to Povetkin. What was your assessment of his performance and his knockout win?
It was perfect, I thought. He done everything right. Like I said earlier, I like the way he come off the ropes. He never sat there like he'd done before. So he'd obviously corrected his flaws. And let's put it this way, it was a very important win for him. And you can imagine the pressure involved in that fight. So he's come through it, and the best of luck to the fella. You know, we've all, you know, it's not nice, you know, you're waiting around, you're number one in the world, you're trying to get fights, you can't get them, and all of a sudden you get Povetkin, who's dangerous at the best of it, yeah, and all of a sudden you get cleaned out. You know, so to come back from all of that, yeah, rematch the fella up straight away, and he needs maximum respect for that, and he got the job done clinically. It's all right, people saying, including myself, Povetkin is over the hill. He's got no legs under him. But for them first 2 or 3 rounds, he was dangerous. He was coming Povetkin to do exactly what he done the first time. And if Dillian would have been a similar fighter as the first time, he'd have got caught again. So he done everything right.
Dillian is now publicly calling for the fight with Deontay Wilder, saying that he'll even go to Alabama, in Dillian's words, where Wilder could feel safe. They're Dillian's words. But, I mean, that's on paper, that's a great fight that, I mean, we'd all take all day long.
It is a great fight. I think it's a real good fight. And, you know, Wilder, he's always going to be very, very dangerous, Wilder. You know, so he's got that appeal with him, you know, because he can turn things around in one shot, as he always seems to do. So it's a good fight for him. And if there's no politics getting in the way and all this legal crap going on, it's a fight that could happen. I'd like to see it like anybody else. It's a good fight, isn't it?
Who's your favourite in that fight?
It's a pick and fight, you know. So it's you know, there's one thing for sure: if Dillian can keep to his boxing, you know, and let's look at it as well. Dillian is getting better, isn't he? You know, he's fine tuning. You know, at this level, when you're up at the top, it's all about fine tuning everything. You're not going to learn anything brand new. It's how you smooth your surface better. It's getting the little rough edges smooth here, there, and everywhere. Smooth is good, Kugan. Smooth is brilliant. Yeah. So he's getting his job right. So, you know, he might have had an hard run, Dillian Whyte, but he's an improving fighter, and that's what I see in him.
Well, 3 weeks out, Billy Joe Saunders will take on Saul Alvarez-Canelo in the biggest fight of his life. It's the fight that he's called on for quite some time, and he's finally going to get his chance on May the 1st. So, what chance do you give Billy here, realistically?
Well, we're going to see. I think we are going to see the best Billy Joe ever. There's no doubt. And I think I think the way he'll look at it is that he's under no pressure whatsoever, because everybody expects him to lose. Yeah, and he is fighting a great fighter in Canelo. Yeah, but if anybody has got the tools and the awkwardness and the desire and that confidence of upsetting things, it's him. Let's look at it. Yeah, forget past fights and forget everything. Look what he's done in the amateurs coming through. He's an exceptional amateur. He's boxed all of his life, yeah, and he's got that gritty desire. He wants it. So, and he's all about proving people wrong. And when you've got that mindset, yeah, he's got a good trainer in Mark Tibbs. He'll be in the best shape of his career. There'll be no stone unturned, and he's going to listen. At the very least, he's going to put up a very good performance, better than what anybody thinks he's going to do. So, like I said, whether he wins it or not is another matter, because he's over there. Canelo, I think the country stands still for Canelo out there. So, it's a big thing to try and nib him on points out there. And it's also a massive task to stop Canelo. That I don't see. Billy Joe's not going to stop Canelo. He's as tough as teak, that fella. He's short, he's squat. He's hard to hit at the best of times. It's complicated. The only thing he can try and do is take it to him, throw them punches in bunches, and make it clear the best way he can. But it is a difficult task, but anything can happen. He is only a man, Canelo. He's only a man, perfecting his task year in, year out. So everybody's beatable.
Everybody?
Everybody's beatable. He's only a man.
That's on May the 1st.
Do you think it's unbeatable?
Well, I don't. I suppose we can only go from kind of what's in black and white in front of us of boxers that have retired undefeated, and they're the nearest thing. I'm not saying they're still not beatable. I'm saying they're the nearest thing that you can call to people that kind of retired with undefeated records.
Yeah, of course. It depends who they've boxed, and everything else. You could say about Mayweather. He's undefeated, and he's, you've got to give undefeated people, you've got to give them that respect. But, there's always somebody for everybody. It's just, it's all down to the promoters, management, teams, steering away from certain fighters, picking right fighters. It's not all what people think. Boxing's a business as well. So every fighter can be beat.
Are we in a situation in boxing now where there's always a thing of we want to see the best in the weight fighting each other? Are we seeing that more and more now, Peter? Because there was always, you look at certain fighters, and like we're talking about Mayweather, could he have fought Pacquiao 5 years before he did, etc. Yeah.
To be fair, when that fight happened, it was like a deflated balloon. What we thought we was going to get. Everybody was building up fever pitch, the money they got, and look what happened. Pacquiao looked like he was in a trance. It was just too late. It was worn out. It's the same with like Khan Brook. It's got tail end interest, hasn't it? It's fizzled out. it's like the spark that's dying at the end of it.
I'd still watch it though.
I would, but that's the reality.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, of course I'd watch it. I'd like to see it. I think it's a good fight. But like I said, that's what I think. It's just what it is.
It's mad, isn't it, how we have like two fighters, and I'll go back to Ricky Hatton and Junior Witter, who never fought, and it was always talked about, and it was one of those fights that kind of never happened. And I think Brook and Khan is in that same situation now, where it was relevant 7 years ago, 6 years ago, and they're still talking about it now, but it's nowhere near going to have the same kind of impact as it would have done 5 years ago, say.
Yeah, God only knows why it never happened, because Khan's a very good fighter. He's probably got the quickest hands in boxing. Lovely boxer, isn't he? And, and Brook, He's up there, accurate puncher, and he can hit as well. So it was a top fight back in the day. You know, why it never happened, God only knows.
But other than that, life keeping you well, Peter?
Yeah, just got to get this fight out the way tomorrow. Just going to relax with the family, have a couple of weeks. We're just going with Hughie for, he's looking at a training camp, probably for his next fight. Probably take his camp away and just have a bit of a break, I think.
Well, if we see her at some point later, I'm gonna collar him and you two together, and we'll get this sorted out.
Yeah, 100%. I'm ready. You know, Eddie's out. His white trainers on. You know, he's a slick dude, isn't he? So let's get it. Let's get it on. Let's have a chat fight.
I've never heard of that before, but it sounds nice, not nice and intimidating at the same time. But we know what you're talking about. We know what you're talking about. Peter, have you got anything else you'd like to add before we finish?
No, just like everybody to enjoy the fights. It's an hard game, this, and all the fighters need respect, winners and losers. So we're just doing our best, and the fighters are doing the best, and we just want the best for everybody, don't we?
Get in and get out safe.
That's the key. How's the baby, KUGAN?
Baby's doing well, 7.5 weeks. So, yeah, just getting used to it all, adapting to life.
So what does it feel like being a dad then?
Do you know what? I don't know. I got asked this after the first day, and I was like, give me a chance. I don't know. But even 7 weeks on, I think maybe it hasn't quite all sunk in yet. I don't really know how to answer that question. It's a weird one.
Oh, listen, I've asked the question because people asked me 6 times. I still ain't got the answer today. I said, to be honest with you, I don't feel any different. That's it. They just, a lot of the times they do get on my nerves. That's kids for you, isn't it? But, no, listen, family's everything, isn't it? You respect them even more when you get older. But, you know, that's what life's about. Good wife, good children, respectful living. Can't beat it, KUGAN.
I think the only thing I suppose that's dawned on me is that my life ain't just about me anymore. I think that's probably what I kind of thought from day one. Up until now, it's not just about me anymore. So,
no, it ain't. It's about your children and your family and doing your best for them. But yeah, that's what it is. The building blocks of life, innit? Love and respect. Priceless.
I was probably doing a disservice to like my family there by saying that, but you know what I mean. It's a different, isn't it? From, I'm not talking about obviously my immediate family or friends or my partner. Having a child obviously is a different thing altogether. That's what I was referring to.
Listen, you've been blessed by the blessed Lord to have a healthy child. You know, lovely wife, child. What more do you want? You know, multi-millionaire business.
Steady on. Taxman might be watching this, Peter.
Oh, well, you know. Yeah, but listen, you can earn millions, but the expense could be very high at the same time.
I'll pay my taxes. I'm good, Mr. Taxman.
Yeah. So, no, it's, listen, life's good. All the time you're healthy, your family's all right, and you're doing okay. Thank God every day.
Absolutely. Well, Peter, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. We look forward to a great night of boxing here in London, in East London. And, yeah, roll on tomorrow night.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to all the fights. There's some good fights on here. And like I said, I repeat, I wish everybody well.
Thank you very much.